This is my case 446. It's got an Onan 16 horsepower engine in it, a model BFMS engine. As you've seen, when we tried to get it running, it was only firing on the right cylinder. It was blowing back through the carburetor. Compression check shows that there's no compression on this left hand side cylinder. Okay, here we go, moment of truth. So I don't know how well you're going to be able to see in there. That is a really dirty valve seat. Let's clean it out. There's something in the intake passageway behind this valve. This small screw. Small screw was up in the intake, so I've removed the intake valve in question here. It doesn't seem to have a lot of play in it, so I don't think the valve guys are too worn. I don't know how well you can see it there. The seat looks in pretty fairly good shape. There's a little dent down here in the casting from where that screw seems to be hitting when the valve was closing on it. But since this tractor is being tinkered with by somebody else before I got it, I'm thinking they dropped that screw down there and it never actually ran on it, so it's only been hitting on it while trying to get it running. There's no dents or anything on there. Same with the valve. Valve seat for the most part seems to be fairly clean. So I'll put some lapping compound on that and just seat a moment since I got it apart anyways. But I think it'll be in pretty good shape here. Okay, so I lapped this just a very small amount. Just a little bit of light lapping compound and put it underneath there and put this. Once we get these gaskets in here, put it back together and see what happens. Goes on in one direction. Same thing with the head. Clean that up. Clean the carbon out of here. You see I haven't been tubed. I remember before this had absolutely nothing. So let's get a little power hooked up. See what we got. We've got like 90. Got between 95 and 100 pounds of compression. So that's actually very, very good. That's better than. So I was only going to do one side cylinder head and seals, and then again my conscience got the better of me and I thought, well, I'll pull the other head off while I got the intake off and clean the carbon out, check the valves, and it's probably a good thing I did. I don't know how well you can see that. See, there's a small little part missing in that exhaust valve. Got a little erosion or something there. It's definitely not going to get better with lapping it. You know, this cylinder was getting 75 to 80 pounds compression, so it was sealing fairly decently, but the other side is now getting around 100, so this could be where we're losing a little compression on this. So it's fairly deep. I don't think I can even grind that out. So I think I'm going to have to look for another exhaust valve. More parts. So to replace the eroded exhaust valve, I was able to come up with a Onan genuine part off the online auction site we all know. So the valve seat in that block is not too bad, but as I'm putting this nice brand new valve in there, I think I'm going to want to touch the seat up just a little bit on the engine. So I've got a Black & Decker valve seat grinder, vibrocentric valve seat grinder. So we'll set that up and just clean up that valve seat just a touch. So I've got a stone here loaded up on the mandrel that's just slightly larger than the valve. Got my the stone dresser set at 45 degrees per the instructions in the rebuild manual. They want a 45-degree valve seat. So we'll go ahead and this will go back and forth, and this will put the 45-degree angle on this stone. So there's a 45-degree angle dressed on that stone. .45-degree angle dressed on that stone there. So now I can go use this to touch up that valve seat in that engine block. Okay, so I've cleaned all this out. I've got this mandrel that loads up in there. It's got this expanding wedge in the back. This will go down the valve guide until the taper on this seat's in there, and then we'll tighten up this wedge. So that's now tight in the valve guide and straight on there. Give a little bit of oil here. As soon as I find my oil can. Whatever I did with it. A little bit of oil on here just to move the pilot up. So then this will load up on here. Now I really don't want to use any pressure on this. I'm just trying to clean it up. I really don't want to remove a whole lot of metal on here. I just want to bring it back to a 45 for this new valve. So just a couple quick bursts of it. Should be about all we need. Take a look at it. Yep, we got a nice clean valve seat ready for the new valve. Okay, so I put a small amount of valve lapping compound on the back face of this valve. Don't need very much. Just need to put it in there, work it in, turn the valve. Work it in a few spots, keep turning it and working it in. Work it in there, rotate it around, work it a few times. Don't need a lot of pressure, just work it in. And then when you're done, I'll take it out, check the wear pattern on here. It should be kind of a frosted look all around the seat. Clean out all this lapping compound. You don't want that running through your engine, and be ready to go. Okay. Exhaust valve is in. Got the gap set. the valve lash set on here. New head gasket. Just torque this head down. Let's see if we did any good on this side. Now, if you remember, the compression wasn't too bad on this side. I'll have to go back and see what it was. It was 65, 70, 75, something like that. Not terrible for a used engine, but wonder how much we were losing with that burn up exhaust valve. So I did get a new ignition switch put in here. It's a Briggs & Stratton ignition switch. If I remember, I'll put the part number down on the bottom of the screen, you know, somewhere down around here for the ignition switch. I disconnected the coil, so we're not powering the coil. Let's see what we did here. So that's 95. I don't know if you guys can see that. $95. So it's almost identical to the other cylinder. So I did improve the impression on this side some. You know, an old engine like this, I like to see at least, you know, 75, 80, somewhere around there. It'll run good on that. I mean, it'll run all the way down to 40 or so. I've seen them. It runs not well, but 95. That's getting pretty good for what I would expect out of a. Expect a whole lot more than that. So, you know, I'm really optimistic about this engine now. So, yeah, I'm gonna go through here. I cleaned up the carburetor some. That's all cleaned up. I went through, put a gasket kit in it, so it should be ready to go. I won't show that here, but there's some other videos on rebuilding carbs. I've done a video on an updraft carb that you can go back and take a look at. But I've got some new gaskets to put on here, put the valve covers back on, put the intake back on. Got some new spark plugs for it. I got some wire. I can make up some new spark plug wires, and we'll see how this runs. But it'll be just the next scene for you. But it's getting pretty cold out here tonight. It's getting below 30 in the unheated side of the shop here. So I'm going to call it a night. And so it's getting to be evening here again. Hopefully the lighting isn't too bad in this shot, but I've got this all back together now. I've gone ahead and cleaned everything up. There's the carburetor that I've cleaned up and put back on. Get some better spark plug wires in there. I've patched in a fuel filter just in case there's some junk in the fuel tank. Catch that before it gets up into the clean carburetor. The only thing I don't have hooked up yet is I'm missing a bracket to hold this choke cable. I'm gonna have to come up with something there, but see if it'll run. So let's see what's going to happen here. There's no fuel up to the carburetor, so it'll probably take some cranking to get it going. I've gone through and cleaned the wiring up some, got the ignition switch in. So probably hit it with some little bit of starting fluid here to see if it'll run now. See what happens. I haven't tried this since we put it back together, so. Oh, it's already a good sign, huh? It's going to take some cranking to get some fuel up here. Let's put the choke on and crank some fuel up. There's fuel up in the filter now. I don't know how much is in the float bowl, but give it a little shot here. See if it'll pick up. There it is. Seems to run pretty good. It's hunting a little bit on idle. I got some playing around to do with the mixture yet, but we'll I'll clean it up and put the air cleaner on it and tune it some more, and that should be that. Got this pretty much back together. You can see I've got the air cleaner housing back on there. It's one of these screws, in fact this one right here, which is like down in the intake of the left hand cylinder there. So that's all installed. We use that screw. I've sourced some OEM hoses off of the internet auction site we all know. Installed those. Put just a dab of blue Loctite on those, just to keep them from coming out. You can see the new fuel filter in there. Clean it up some. Got it running better. Not quite perfect, but it's getting there. Got the choke cable attached, so the choke now operates properly. I'll throw that air cleaner in there. I've got an air cleaner with a pre-filter at to go in there. Changed the oil. The oil that was in there is quite dirty, so I've put some just some store brand 30 weight from the local farm store in there. We'll run that for a couple of 2-3 hours, and I'll drain it back out and put a little better oil in there. Get that going. It doesn't appear to have any hydraulic leaks. The oil in the hydraulic system seems to be pretty clean. Eventually I'll go ahead and change that. Off the top of my head, I believe that should be 20 W50 motor oil. I believe Harley Davidson uses that. I also heard of some guys using like a diesel grade motor oil in there. I might end up with like a 1540 Rotella or something in there. We'll see. I haven't fully decided yet. I do know you don't want to use a hydraulic oil in there. It's too thin, and the system won't run right. Got some cleanup to do on it. Mess to put away. Rear fender I'm working on welding that together and putting it on. Previous owner said that his dad had ripped the fender off with some tire chains, but he gave me the original fender. I'll pound it back into shape, weld it back together, find some screws and put it on. And that should get it up and running anyways. So this should be a good thing just in time for Christmas. We've been using an old Husky lawnmower for hauling around the yard cart and doing yard tasks. This will definitely be a good upgrade for that. I'm sure the wife will like that for hauling around her animal manure, chicken and rabbits and stuff like that. And thanks for watching this video. If I time this just right, I think this video should be posting right around Christmas. And as we go into the season where we celebrate our Lord coming to the earth in human form, I'd wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2023.